What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the stimulus package update, daily news, pretty much everything going on here in our country and in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. And if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. We had some surprising results in the elections yesterday, and the results are actually still being tabulated on the two statewide elections and some of the citywide elections that are still actually being tabulated. For the state of New Jersey, Democratic candidate Philip Murphy is expected and is projected to be the winner here. You can see here he has 50.2% of the votes. He's winning with 1.22 million votes to 1.19 million votes versus the Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli, and is projected to win with over 90% reported. Philip Murphy, the Democratic candidate, would become the first Democratic governor in more than 4 decades for New Jersey to win re-election in the Garden State, as CNN projects Wednesday, narrowly surviving a closer than expected race that dragged on well past Election Day. Murphy's victory over Republican nominee Jack Ciattarelli, albeit slim, defied the state's trend of voting in the party out of the White House in its off-year gubernatorial contest. Virginia, the only other odd-year gubernatorial election, held to that historical pattern on Tuesday, electing Republican Glenn Youngkin in a resounding blow to Democrats who had made recent gains in that state. The results for that, as you can see here, Republican Glenn Youngkin, Republican, won narrowly there with 50.9% of the votes to 48.4%. In that, Glenn Youngkin would be the first Republican to have won in Virginia since 2009. So we have two actually somewhat surprising results in these two different states. I got an interesting article here for you. Stimulus checks are coming to some people in 2022 for one group that still do COVID relief. Check this one out. Here's who can expect more payments. As background, the federal government is still giving select workers stimulus payments, and states have used some of their federal relief to provide teacher bonuses, with some states issuing stimulus checks to state residents who meet income requirements. As of course, we go over this on the channel all the time. I just did a recent video with 20 different states going over stimulus checks, and some states announcing stimulus checks as well. 20 different states doing this in different capacities. But another group eligible for stimulus payments might surprise you: babies born in 2021. The newest Americans qualify for payments up to $1,400 stimulus checks from the third round of federal stimulus checks that millions of people received in March or afterwards. To qualify for the full amount of those stimulus checks, the third stimulus checks, your households must meet the income requirements: $150,000 for married people, 2 people, or file a joint return, or $75,000 for individuals. This is because if you have a new baby born this year, you can still get a stimulus check for them. Okay? Eligible new parents and the child tax credits. Don't let me forget that. You can still get the child tax credits for any new children born this year. I'll get to that here in a minute. Eligible new parents who inform the IRS they had a baby through a new tax return, when they file their 2021 taxes next year, can still receive a stimulus check for those children and child tax credits, those monthly payments, although you'll get it on your tax returns. People with 2021 newborns might not realize that they're eligible for the expanded child tax credits, okay, it mentions it here, that are part of the stimulus package and the third stimulus checks. and any other stimulus checks that might come out this year as well. You could have opted to inform the IRS this year about your new family member to get the early monthly tax credit installments this year that they're paying for 2021. If you didn't get the full $3,600 child tax credit you filed this year in return for 2022, and claim the baby as a dependent this time around as well. So just to clarify, if you have a new baby born this year, when you go to file your 2021 taxes, your taxes for this year that you'll file next year, sometime early next year, January, February, March, or April, claim the new child. Congratulations on the new child. Claim them as a dependent. You can claim the stimulus check for the third stimulus check and any other stimulus checks that might happen as well. And you can claim the child tax credits for this year as well, 2021. Okay, so keep that in mind. The stimulus check, the third stimulus check, and the child tax credits for this year. Of course, this is not really tax advice, but talk to your accountant or anybody that deals with your taxes. You can claim the stimulus check on line 32, I believe it is, the amount owed to you, as well as if you're missing a third stimulus check, you can claim that on line 32, as well as if you're missing stimulus check 1 or 2, you can claim that on line 32 for tax return year 2020, because those are for last year. Stimulus check number 3 is for this year. You can't claim that yet on a tax return until 2021 is over. Okay, so keep that in mind. But once 2021 is over, you can file a tax return. Okay, if I said line 32, it's actually line 30. I was just kind of going from memory. But as you can see here on line 30 of your tax return, that is where you go to claim stimulus money for on a tax return. As you can see here on your 1040 tax return. Again, talk to your tax professional or your accountant or anybody like that to do that. You can see here on line 30 on your tax return is where you can claim your recovery rebate credits, aka your stimulus check, better known to struggling households as the stimulus payment. That is where you will put the amount that is owed to you, the amount that you're missing. Okay. Again, I'm not an accountant, but I do know a lot of this stuff. My wife's father is actually an accountant. For the child tax credits, I believe it's going to be different, so I'll have to check in that with that. So I'll get back to you on that. If you have an accountant or a tax professional, ask with them before you do your taxes. So I believe that the child tax credit line is going to be different. So again, you can still claim for a new baby stimulus check 3 and child tax credits for this year. So keep that in mind. Next up, we're going to go to Congressman Mark Pocan on an update on the stimulus package and the negotiations, and an update for you here. And here he is.
And we're going to go to Congressman Pocan, who I believe is standing by ready to talk to us. He is a member of the Progressive Caucus, and he is on the Appropriations Committee. Nice to see you, Congressman. You were just in a meeting with Speaker Pelosi and Democrats about the president's agenda. What was her message?
Well, I think, we want to get this done. We've been negotiating, as you know, for a number of weeks. We're down to just a few issues. But what we want to do is pass these 2 bills that build back better agenda of the president's. And that's what the American people are going to benefit from. 40 million American families get a tax cut, lowering costs from everything from child care to prescription drugs, creating jobs, many of which tackle climate change, $550 billion towards affecting climate change. And it's paid for, as you're all just talking about, largely by the wealthy and those corporations that have not paid taxes for a long time. So it's a popular agenda that the American people will actually benefit from. That's what we need to deliver. And she just wanted to make sure that we're able to get it done.
You said they're down to just a few issues. If you could just help us understand what that is, what she said, and what the timeline is right now.
Yeah, a timeline isn't exactly clear, other than Rules is going to be meeting now to start a hearing. It could be a vote as early as tomorrow. So I think that's something we're looking for, depending on how long Rules goes. But we know that as the people that you just had on the panel were talking about, this isn't a fight within the Democratic Party. I mean, 48 senators and over 200 members of the House are all ready to go on this. We've got a couple senators that we've been trying to get forward on a couple issues. And when we get this done, and we will get this done, this is going to be a really big transformative change for many American families. When I look at what we're doing, it's probably as big as anything Congress has done since the 40s or 50s.
Well, I got to push back a little bit because progressives have been holding up the infrastructure bill and all of this during these talks because they want the two tracks. And you've heard Democrats pinning some of the blame on progressives for doing that. Senator Mark Warner comes to mind. He was pretty blunt in putting the blame on progressives. Let's listen to what he told Armani Raju.
Only in Washington could people think that it is a smart strategy to take a once-in-a-generation investment in infrastructure and prevent your president from signing that bill into law, and that's somehow a good strategy.
Congressman, he's talking about your caucus, progressives holding out and voting for the infrastructure bill to make sure the Build Back Better bill is going to pass in the Senate. In hindsight, was that strategy a mistake?
Since we had that strategy, we now have a prescription drug benefit that's going to be in the bill. Since that strategy, we now have family and medical leave in that bill, as well as many other things. So yeah, it was a damn good strategy because we've got more benefits for the American people, and I think we're ready to vote on this because now this has enough that people will really see the benefit for their family, and it's about time that real people got some benefits from their federal government.
But what about, do you think that the loss in Virginia, the fact that it was a tight governor's race in New Jersey, had anything to do with Democrats not actually passing that infrastructure bill? It was passed in August in the Senate. It was bipartisan. It could create jobs, spur investment. How is that a good strategy to keep that hanging in the balance?
Yeah, so my former colleague from Wisconsin, a Republican, Reed Ribble, today tweeted that the reason why Youngkin won was because he had a better campaign, he was a better candidate, and he distanced himself from Donald Trump. So if that's coming from Republican members of Congress, I think that says a lot more than a bunch of people in Capitol Hill who like to pontificate about what happened. Here's someone who actually understands the Republican Party telling you why that person was elected. The good news is we had a record number of Democrats come out as well. It was just a high turnout election. But the good news is when we get this bill done, when people see that they can pay no more than 7% of their income for child care, when they're getting a tax cut through the child tax credit for years going forward, that we're finally addressing climate change, those are all things that you haven't had a Congress do in a long time, and we're going to deliver more than you've seen in decades.
Do you think the recent election results show that progressives are out of touch with what a majority of Americans want?
Yeah, well, I think I just said, just since last week what we did, people support family and medical leave. That wouldn't have happened had it not been for progressives. People support reduced prescription drug prices. We just got that in because of what progressives did. So, I think there's a lot of Washington rhetoric because there's a lot of special interests in this town who like to tell people what to think. The bottom line is when people have family and medical leave and pay less for prescription drugs, we now know where it came from.
So yeah, really the progressives just in the last 48 hours or so did get that paid family and medical leave added in just yesterday, and the day before got the prescription drug pricing plan to lower prescription drugs added in the day before, just for all that within 48 hours. Those weren't even in the bill. So those are two significant changes added into the bill that, well, the bill's not really written, but added into the bill. You know what I'm saying here. That they're going to be writing the bill here as they're adding things in here or into the framework, maybe we should say here. As progressives are fighting here, I think when all is said and done here, maybe this first half of the stimulus bill, because remember there's going to be another bill after this, as they're going to come back around for the second half of the stimulus bill or stimulus package number 2 is kind of be stimulus package 1, and then they're going to come back around for the second half of stimulus package 2. So 1.75 trillion. It might be a little bit more actually as they're kind of adding things in here, and then stimulus half number 2. President Biden has confirmed there's going to be another stimulus package after this. So they're going to pass stimulus package one or stimulus half one, and then the physical infrastructure, and then the second half of the stimulus after this. So there's going to be another stimulus package after this. As long as Joe Manchin comes on board. Joe Manchin apparently was kind of thrown for a loop that they added in the paid family and medical leave, as he's was kind of unsure about that. We had an interviewer on the show yesterday, that she apparently broke the news to Joe Manchin, and he wasn't even aware of it. So can't make this stuff up. So now remember that just because they're adding these things, I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression here, that just because Nancy Pelosi added this in the package doesn't mean it's going to make it to the finish line. Paid family and medical leave is one of these stimulus provisions that is a really big thing. People basically, when they go to have a baby, whether it's the mother or the father, will basically be able to get 4 weeks of paid family and medical leave, or if they catch an illness, like they actually catch the virus, or if somebody needs to stay home to take care of their child because they have the virus, or something along those lines, or they get injured on the job or something along those lines, can actually get their pay from their job paid for by the government for up to 4 weeks, okay? Or a percentage of their pay paid for by the government, depending on how much they pay and how the stipulations end up working out. But that doesn't mean it's set in stone and it's going to be in there 100% for sure all the way to the finish line, okay? Because remember, Joe Manchin's got to agree to it, all 50 senators got to agree to it, and 99% of the Democrats in the House got to agree to it. So remember, the negotiations are still going on here literally every hour until everything is finalized. The House votes on it, it says yes. The Senate votes on it, it says yes. And the president signs it. So just remember that even though they're adding things in right now, just a few days ago they were subtracting things. Okay, so remember, it's kind of a it's a tug of war going on here right now. So don't be surprised if in a few days things get pulled back out. It's a very real possibility. And that's why I suggest call, email, tweet your representatives and make that big push as well to have adult stimulus checks added as well for $1,400 to $2,000. In addition to the child tax credits, those monthly checks for children that are in there. Children are taken care of with those monthly checks for children, $250 to $300 per month. They're going to extend that for 1 more year. But we really want to see them add an additional check for adults as well in this next package. As they're adding in all these things at the end, they're making really good progress. I mean, the prescription drug pricing, lowering that for tens of millions of Americans is going to be a really big deal. Yeah, I mean, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the cost of insulin is going to go from $600 to $35. I mean, just that one example alone is game changing for millions of Americans. I mean, the cost of inhalers, I don't know the exact cost, but it's going to be just that one example. I mean, the cost of medicine alone, prescriptions, is going to be a savings for literally millions and millions of Americans. So that alone is a really big stimulus provision that they've added in here, and is going to save millions of Americans a lot of money on a monthly basis every single month going forward. So really big stimulus item that they've added into this package, saving money. It's not a check per se, but if it saves you money every month, hey, it's basically putting money in your pocket. But we want to continue to push Congress to get more and more items in this package, right? I mean, the more items that help out the average everyday American person, prescription drug pricing, lowering the cost of that, awesome. Paid family and medical leave, awesome. Lowering the cost of childcare down to free or 7% of your income, awesome. That's much better than paying 20 or 30% of your income. We had Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the show yesterday. He said that the average cost across the United States is over $10,000 per family if they have to pay for childcare, which would be $800 a month or $200 a week. That makes sense. And then we had Representative Ayanna Presley said in her state, I think it was Connecticut, she said that in her state it's $21,000 for a family. Un- Unreal, unreal. So if you have children and you're paying for childcare, that one stimulus item in this package, the cost of childcare is going to be significantly reduced for families to pay for childcare, down to you will pay no more than 7%. So that is going to be a significant reduction. There's all sorts of different things in this package, um, and that are going to basically save people money, save families money. So, but we want to continue to advocate for this. So, call your senators, call your representatives, email them, tweet them, go on Twitter and tweet them, write them, email them, and continue to say, hey, we want to have this, and whatever you're looking for, or stimulus checks for adults, and continue to advocate, because, again, this is the time where they add things in at the last moment. Remember that the second stimulus check was added in the bill after they wrote the bill. They wrote the bill and didn't even have it included. And then people advocating and pushing and calling and emailing made them change their mind and take $160 billion away from states, cities, and counties, and shift it from states, cities, and counties over to the people in the form of the second stimulus check. So I will keep up to date with everything. The good news is they're adding things in for the people literally on a daily basis at this moment. And but remember, things are changing by the moment, and they're gonna potentially, you heard him say, be voting here any day now. So make sure to subscribe down below. I'll keep up to date with the stimulus package, as well as new items that might be added in, as well as what's going on with our country and daily news. So make sure to subscribe down below. It's free to do so. Literally just click subscribe and then click the bell icon to get notifications when we go live, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also click the share button down below so you can share this video with your friends and family so that they know what is going on here and they can join our family, our extended family here on the channel as well. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video is the 20 different states that are having or have announced different types of stimulus checks in the 20 different states as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.